So, es ist auf jeden Fall gestartet. Mal gucken mal. Los geht's. Also, bitte wähle eine Sprache mit dem Bildschirmtext und Untertitel Deutsch. Deutsch. Hast du Stanley Parable schon mal gespielt? Ja. Bitte passt den Regler so an, dass der Computer gerade noch sichtbar ist. Ja, ist doch gut so. Bitte gib die aktuelle Zeit ein. Sagen wir mal 17 Uhr, also PM auf jeden Fall. PM 5 Uhr 59. Oh, 59, ne? Ja. Hinweis. Achso, ich muss mal gerade kurz vielleicht zumindest mal das hier noch machen. So. So, einfach mal so ein bisschen jetzt gerade, damit ihr Bescheid wisst. Hinweis, Einstellungen zur Barrierefreiheit können über das Hauptmenü vorgenommen werden. Okay, brauchen wir nicht. So, du spielst Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe Edition. Mal kurz, ganz kurz in die Credits. Ob da noch irgendwas machen können? Nee, passt schon. Ich denke mal, das passt alles. Das Spiel beginnt. The end is never the end, is never the end, is never the end, is never the end, is never the end.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly.
Ja, wird in den Chat geschissen gerade.
And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Okay. Okay, was ich jetzt schon mal sagen kann, das ist das alte Stanley Parable, ja? Also so fängt Stanley Parable die normale Version an. Ich habe mich nicht spoilern gelassen. Ich habe nicht geguckt, um was es hier geht, was die Ultra Deluxe Version jetzt alles kann und was jetzt geändert wurde, weil spoilerst du dich ein kleines bisschen bei Stanley Parable, ist es nicht mehr lustig, ja? Und deswegen, Leute, ich mache jetzt einfach mal das, was der Erzähler sagt, weil es geht ja im Endeffekt darum, was der Erzähler, dass du das machst, was der Erzähler nicht sagt und so weiter und so fort. Es ist ein ganz wirres Game auf jeden Fall. Es macht eine Menge Spaß und es hat einen verdammt geilen Humor.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Auch überall Computer, überall auch so Easter Eggs, ja, da muss man überall mal ein bisschen gucken. Vielleicht ist da schon mittlerweile was geändert worden, das weiß ich jetzt nicht. Komm, wir gucken mal und...
No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Irgendwas aufmachen hier?
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there. Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
Okay. Okay. Was, wenn ich das nicht mache?
There was nothing here. No choice to make, no path to follow, just an empty broom closet. No reason to still be here.
Was, wenn ich hier bleibe?
It was baffling that Stanley was still just sitting in the broom closet. He wasn't even doing anything. At least if there was something to interact with, he'd be justified in some way. As it is, he's literally just standing there doing sweet FA.
Das machen wir mal. Bisschen Däumchen drehen. Magna, das kannst du per Streamlabs machen.
Are you really still in the broom closet? Standing around doing nothing? Why? Please offer me some explanation here. I'm genuinely confused.
Aber du brauchst keine MP4-Datei, sondern eine MP3-Datei. MP4-Datei ist eine Videodatei. Vielleicht geht's deswegen nicht.
You do realize there's no choice or any...
Okay, ich gehe ja schon.
If I'd said Stanley walked past the broom closet, at least you would have had a reason for exploring it to find out. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Oh, guck dich. Das ist nur eine Toilette, das ist kein Badezimmer, das ist nur eine Toilette. To be rich is it a crime? To commit crimes isn't it rich? What a life it would be to have to pick just one.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number. 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known that. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Einfach mal random drauf gedrückt.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Escape.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, but of course, Stanley thought better of it and realized he simply had too much to live for.
Wir folgen seinem Weg.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Stell dir mal vor, ihr sitzt im Büro. Ihr kommt in so einen Raum auf einmal. wo er nicht wusste, dass er
Now the
überhaupt
monitors
existiert.
jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
Der Erzähler hat auch so eine geile Erzählerstimme, ne?
Here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Ich frage mich gerade, warum ich am Anfang auswählen musste, ob ich Stanley Parable schon gespielt habe. Da passiert doch irgendwas.
Blackness, and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes! He had won! He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door. Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Das war das normale Ende von Stanley Parable. End is never the end, is never the end, is never the end. Die Frage ist jetzt, was passiert, wenn ich nicht das mache, was der Erzähler sagt? Ja, weil das Ende war ja lame, ja. Und das ist wirklich eine ganz, ja, verstrickte Geschichte, sage ich jetzt mal. Das Spiel, du spielst das Spiel, weil es ein Spiel ist. Es ist ganz schwierig zu erklären. Auf jeden Fall werden wir da die nächste Woche Dienstag jetzt weitermachen. Morgen sehen wir uns jetzt zu I Wanna Be the Boshi. Liebe Leute, ich werde jetzt für heute aufhören. Bleibt noch kurz dran für den Raid. Ich werde euch zu Yoshi. Und dann kriegt ihr auf jeden Fall noch ein paar Dummy Coins. spielt Middle-earth Shadow of War. Lasst ihn auf jeden Fall ein Hallöchen da. Und für die Leute, die es noch nicht gemacht haben, folgt Yoshi. Ist wirklich ein ganz, ganz cooler, sympathischer Streamer. Raid beginnt. Vielen Dank, Leute, dass ihr heute alle da wart. Ja. Und vielen, vielen Dank für den Hype-Grind. Vielen Dank für die ganzen Bits, die Abos, den Support. Vielen, vielen Dank, Leute. Wir sehen uns jetzt morgen zu I Wanna Be the Boshi. Bis dahin noch einen schönen Abend. Sagt Yoshi ein schönes Hallöchen. Und bis dahin, Leute.